Where is the Trump power economy we were promised? Literally in March, the Commerce Secretary said, we're going to feel its effects in the third quarter of 2025. It's going to be a force in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of what? 2026? This economy is barely limping. It's limping and barely to a finish line. If you look at every statistic and this upcoming week, and I wanted to give you a model here on Legal AF Tuesday, this upcoming week, we're going to start seeing some treacherous reports, statistics that Donald Trump's not going to be able to fire his way out of. This economy's not a robust, powerful economy. Between the tariffs now being ruled unconstitutional, reducing by 72% the amount of money that Trump's going to even bring in from these tariffs, the wrecked trading relationships, the pushback led by Canada, Mexico, China, India, and the European Union, this economy, I now know why he doesn't want to call it Trumpenomics. It's terrible for the American consumer. With inflation expected to rise substantially off new reporting this week, the job market shrinking, and we're into manufacturers not manufacturing, service suppliers not service supplying, and American consumers and voters suffering as a result. I'm here on Tuesday. I'm not trying to be the Grim Reaper. I'm just reporting the facts. I'm Michael Popok. You're on Legal AF. Take a minute and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Let's dive in. 8 months ago, it's hard to believe, this administration took over. In March, which was several months ago, Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary, wheeler dealer extraordinaire, he'll say anything to get on television, said the following about the economy that he expected. Third quarter, you'll feel it. Fourth quarter, the force, the power. Let's run that clip.
So going forward, do you just look through all of this weakness? You've talked about how, and we've heard a sort of detox period, et cetera. Do you look past all of the data in the first and the second quarters as simply backward looking and look forward to what deals are getting done?
My job is to look forward to what deals are getting done. I'm going to bring in, because Donald Trump has created the policies for me, to bring in enormous investment to the country, 1.7 trillion so far committed. And we're going to put out a website and literally show these companies construction and manufacturing in America quarter by quarter to show this kind of growth. Remember, each trillion of this kind of committed construction is worth 1 point of GDP. So at 2 trillion, which we definitely will have, for sure. That's a ½ point of GDP for all 4 of his years. So as that grows, you're going to see that growth come into our GDP numbers. Obviously not today. Someone says, I'm going to build 65 billion in America. When can they get in? In the past, it would take 1.5 years to get the permits to build. Under Donald Trump, it's going to take less than 6 months. They're going to be in the ground this year, and the fourth quarter, you're going to see this power. So, yes, do I have to say the first quarter is surely Biden, the second quarter is Biden, but starting the third quarter, you start to feel some Donald Trump, and the fourth quarter, you will feel the power of Donald Trump's economy.
How's that going so far for the Trump administration and the American people? Not well. Funny thing, if you cut billions of dollars of worldwide international aid behind which there are American jobs, you throw hundreds of thousands of federal workers onto the streets at the same time as you shrink them. You take away federal funding to the states for various programs. You hollow out all of your major agencies and departments. You cut $3 trillion from Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security and food stamps. Funny thing about that, and you cut taxes, your economy is going to sputter. You hear that sound? That's the engine of the U.S. economy that should be roaring under any moderately successful president. That's it stalling out. Donald Trump didn't like last month when the jobs numbers came out and they were revised down by 260 or 270,000 for the months of June and July. So he fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There's still 2,000 economists working inside of there. They're still doing their job. And the new guy hasn't been confirmed. He may never be for Donald Trump. And we're going to get the new numbers. The new numbers this coming Tuesday. The jobs report that's coming out this coming Friday. It's already predicted to show more job shedding, more job loss. Because we've already got private sector data analysts who have been doing their own research and statistics, and they believe that managers are just not hiring. And they're certainly not hiring in the month of July and August, watching the Trump administration's economy flail, be inconsistent. Business hates inconsistency. It hates a lack of stability and thought process. And that's all we're watching with the Trump administration, lurching from one economic and abusive power to the next. So even before the jobs report, on Tuesday, we're going to get the supply management index, which everybody believes is going to show that the U.S. manufacturing economy has been stalled and trending down for the last 6 months. What coincides with the last 6 months? Oh, right, the Trump administration. The trade deals, I did a full report. You can catch it on Legal AF Substack live. Now that the 7-4 decision has come out from the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals, calling unconstitutional Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs, that's the 150 countries that are now hit with 20% or more tariffs, and the trafficking tariffs against China, Mexico, and Canada. They've been called unconstitutional. Now, they'll still be allowed to collect that money from now till October, until the United States Supreme Court gets around to making their decision. But if the Supreme Court supports what 10 other judges who've looked at the matter have said, which is Donald Trump and the Trump administration, as we've told you right along, does not have the power under the International Economic Emergency Powers Act, IEPA, to impose those tariffs, then 2/3 of his tariffs, more than 2/3, 71% are going to be thrown out. He predicted that he was going to be collecting $2.8 trillion over 10 years in tariffs. It's going to drop down to $800 billion. Barely a dent on the national debt, barely, because he's also cutting taxes. When you cut taxes for the wealthiest, you have the middle class and the people below the middle class paying 4%, 5% in inflation prices everywhere they shop, if they can shop. You cut the social safety net funding. You terminate the relationship in terms of the federal funds and the U.S. people. Bad things are going to happen, it turns out. This wasn't a tabletop exercise at some retreat for a business. Let's play a game. What would happen to the U.S. economy if we took the U.S. out of the economy? If we had them stop funding, stop employing, stop being in public-private partnerships. We cut off international trade and funding. We wreck our international relationships. What would happen? I mean, did it take that long? It really takes these bootlickers around Donald Trump that supposedly worked on Wall Street, like the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick. Really? They don't understand why the economy is not roaring and it's not a power economy? Now, let me turn, as we wait for the new jobs numbers and manufacturing numbers this week, which will not be good for Donald Trump, as inflation ticks up well above 4%. That's where we're heading. And jobs down, which again supports what the Federal Reserve has done to keep interest rates steady. Five meetings in a row. Is it going to be 6th? We'll know on the 18th of September. 2 of them have already jumped out off sides of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve and said, we should cut rates. But even Donald Trump's main picks, Waller and the other one, Michelle Bowman, even those governors on the Federal Reserve are only promoting like a 1/4 of a point down in the interest rates. Donald Trump wants 2 full points. Like right now, the interest rates charged between banks is 4.25% to 4.5%. He wants it to be 2%. Even his own board of governor picks don't believe that's right for the economy. And when these numbers come out, which is what the Fed looks at, the supply manufacturing numbers down 6 months in a row, jobs down, inflation up, consumer confidence in the toilet. We just got the new numbers on consumer confidence, way down. Donald Trump's right now at not even holding steady at 37% approval rating. Wait till he breaks the 30% line, the Mendoza line, and he drops below 30%, because that's coming. He's going to start heading to Jimmy Carter numbers during our stagflation period in the 1970s. Now, one last thing, and I'll end this hot take. Donald Trump has a workaround around the tariff problem, because while the reciprocal tariffs, those are the ones against 150 countries, and the trafficking ones against Canada, China, and Mexico have been called unconstitutional. The other sectoral tariffs, meaning against sectors like copper, aluminum, computer chips, automobiles, they still are okay. There's a series of other powers that the Trump administration, any president, has to impose tariffs, even if this powers under the International Economic Emergency Powers Act is eliminated. He still has what they call Section 232 powers to do tariffs that are when he feels there's been a threat to national security. You know that's coming. That has to be after investigation by the Commerce Secretary. That's the guy you just saw, Howard Lutnick. He has Section 201 powers, which is if he finds there's been an injury to a domestic injury that needs protection. That's after a recommendation by the International Commerce Department. He has Section 301 powers, which is where he believes that a U.S. business needs to be protected in a certain way, and that's after recommendations by the U.S. Trade Organization. So he still has a way to impose a lot of these tariffs, but they ran to that court pretty quickly when it looked like they were going to lose at this recent decision to strike down the tariffs. And his administration told them this is going to be economic ruin for the administration if they lose the power to tariff. They never had the power to tariff. That was always in the hands of Congress as an Article 1 power. It was never an Article 2 presidential power. And hopefully the Supreme Court rules that way. We'll continue to follow it all right here. Thank you for joining Tuesday morning, first episode of Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the subscribe button. And I really want to encourage people to come over to Legal AF Substack. Check out Substack if you don't know anything about it. I think you're going to like the work we're doing there. Live reporting. I do it 2 a day, pull everybody together. 2,000 or 3,000 people come together. We have a conversation about a topic. We got all of our contributors there writing. We've got postings of all of our Supreme Court and other court cases that we talk about. We've got the orders, we got the motions, all on Legal AF Substack. Take a moment, become a paid member if you can, or at least a free subscriber. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touches Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com. popokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.